Picture this, mate. Crystal clear water rushing through giant granite boulders, rainforest vines dripping overhead, sunlight breaking through the canopy. It looks like a postcard straight out of paradise. But here's the thing. Since the 1930s, at least 17 people have died right here, swallowed by the same waters that seem so inviting. Locals say once you're caught, there's no way back. Some call it a geological trap. Others whisper it's Ulana, the spirit woman, reaching out from the depths. Either way, the mystery of Devil's Pool is as chilling as it is deadly. Stick around, because by the end of this, you'll see why people fear this place more than any crocodile. And hey, before we dive in, smash that like button. It helps keep stories like this alive. Babinda, far north Queensland. A small town of about 1,200 people, surrounded by some of the wettest terrain in all of Australia. Rain hammers down here so often they call it the umbrella capital. Creeks swell overnight, rivers roar without warning, and the rainforest is alive with power you can feel in your bones. Just outside town lies Babinda Creek, winding its way past enormous granite boulders, polished smooth by centuries of raging water. Between those rocks sits Devil's Pool, a natural series of deep holes, swirling currents, and hidden tunnels. On a calm day, it looks like a swimming paradise. On a wild day, it looks like something out of a nightmare. The Yidinji people have always called this place sacred. Their elders warn, respect the pool, or it will take from you. And they don't just mean slipping on a rock. They mean something deeper, something spiritual. Over the years, travelers, scientists, even the local council have tried to explain the tragedies. But one thing's certain, whether you believe in spirits or science, Devil's Pool doesn't forgive mistakes. Long before European settlers, the Yidinji people knew Babinda Creek was a place of power. Their story speaks of Ulana, a young woman forced into an arranged marriage. Her heart, though, belonged to another, a man from a neighboring tribe. Forbidden love is a tale as old as time, but here in the rainforest, it ended in tragedy. Chased by warriors, Ulana fled through the bush, her cries echoing between the granite boulders. She reached the creek, her hair tangled, feet bleeding, her spirit breaking. With one last desperate cry, she leapt into the water. The earth itself seemed to split, rocks cracked open, torrents surged, and her spirit sank into the pool. Since then, Ulana is said to wander the waters, still searching for her lost lover. And here's the eerie bit. Most of the victims over the years have been young men, just like her warrior. Locals whisper that Ulana mistakes them for him and doesn't let go. It's a story heavy with grief, but also with warning. To disrespect the pool, to treat it like just another swimming spot, is to risk Ulana's sorrow pulling you under. And that's not just myth, it's a lesson etched into the history of Babinda. The tragedies at Devil's Pool aren't rumors, they're recorded, reported, remembered. In June 1933, a man named Winterbottom vanished. He'd only been in the water for minutes before he was sucked beneath. Days later, his body was discovered lodged deep in the rocks. Through the decades, the pattern grew. In 1940, an 8-year-old boy drowned. In 1959, more names joined the list. Locals began calling the place cursed. By the 1970s, it wasn't just a rumor. Devil's Pool had a reputation across Queensland. The most infamous case was Pete McGann in 1979. Fit, young, fearless, he leapt in and the pool swallowed him whole. For 6 weeks, rescuers tried everything, the divers, ropes, explosives, nothing worked. His body was only released when the water itself decided to give him up. Today, a plaque stands in his memory, and locals still point it out to visitors as a silent warning. Fast forward to November 2008. James Bennett, a 23-year-old Navy officer, a strong swimmer, confident and trained. He ignored the no-go signs, stepped into the pool, and within seconds he was gone. Witnesses recall him lifting his arms as though surrendering before vanishing straight down. His story made headlines across the nation, 17 lives in total, almost all young men. And every single tragedy feeds into the legend, making Devil's Pool both feared and irresistible. Scientists say there's no spirit here, just geology. Devil's Pool sits on volcanic rock formed millions of years ago. Beneath the surface are lava tubes, hidden tunnels, and pockets carved by centuries of rushing water. What looks calm on the surface is a labyrinth of death below. Divers describe the sensation like being stuck inside a washing machine. One moment you're swimming, the next you're spun upside down, slammed into stone, forced into cracks narrower than your shoulders. Oxygen runs out fast. One diver who went down after a victim said it felt like cold, dead hands tugging at my gear. He knew it was just suction, but his words stuck. Another described bodies being vacuum sealed into crevices so tightly they couldn't be freed for weeks. That's why it's called the washing machine. Not because of imagination, but because once you're in, you're tossed endlessly, with no way out. Logical, yes. But when you hear it told, when you picture it, it's hard not to think of Ulana's ghost dragging the lost down herself. For the people of Babinda, Devil's Pool isn't just science, it's memory, it's loss. Ask around town, and you'll hear stories that give you goosebumps. Like the backpacker in the early 2000s who laughed at the warnings, kicked a memorial plaque, and called the locals superstitious. That afternoon, he was swept away. To the Babinda community, that wasn't coincidence. It was Ulana teaching a lesson in respect. Rescue teams speak quietly about the things they've seen. One firefighter swore he spotted a pale face under the water, staring up before dissolving. Another claimed to hear whispers in the roar of the creek, words he couldn't catch, like voices carried on the current. Elders confirm what they've always said, this isn't just water. Uncle Max Dulamunman Harrison told researchers his grandfather spoke of the pool and his grandfather before him. To the Yidinji, Devil's Pool is a spirit place, and spirit places remember. It's this mix of folklore and lived experience that keeps the mystery alive. For locals, Ulana isn't a story, she's still here. Here's the question. If the danger is so well known, why do people keep going in? Psychologists call it the call of the void, that strange urge to step closer to the edge, to lean just a little further, to test fate. Devil's Pool amplifies that instinct. The water looks calm. Tourists watch locals standing nearby and think, it's fine. Social media only fuels it. People risk it for the perfect photo, or the rush of defying a warning, but Devil's Pool doesn't care how fit you are, how many laps you've swum, how confident you feel. Most victims were strong young men in their prime, and that's exactly why the legend feels so eerie. Ulana isn't taking the weak, she's taking the strong. It's a pattern that rattles the mind, like the place itself is choosing who stays, who goes. And maybe that's why even the skeptics hesitate when they stand by the water's edge. So is it really cursed? Or just a deadly mix of rocks and currents? The truth might be both. Science explains the mechanics, suction, lava tubes, tunnels, but it doesn't explain why the victims are almost always young men. It doesn't explain why locals swear they see faces in the water, or why the Yidinji people warned about this place long before Europeans came. Spirits or suction, grief or geology. Maybe the line between them isn't as solid as we think. Around the world, sacred places often turn out to be the most dangerous. Think of Hawaii's forbidden cliffs, or Ireland's fairy forts. Nature and spirit, science and story often point to the same truth. Some places aren't meant to be conquered. Devil's Pool sits at that crossroads, a geological trap, a spiritual wound, and a reminder that sometimes the land itself has the final word. Even today, Devil's Pool pulls people in, not just physically but emotionally. Tourists still visit, standing by the plaques, taking photos of the raging water. Some claim to see ghostly shapes in the foam, faces peering back. Others feel a chill, as if the air itself turns heavy near the rocks. The local council has fenced off the deadliest sections, but curiosity doesn't vanish that easily. Guides warn, signs shout, but the allure remains. Because that's what mysteries do. They attract us. Devil's Pool is a paradox, a place of beauty and death, legend and science, grief and awe. And every story told, from Ulana's tragic leap to James Bennett's final moments, keeps that paradox alive. So what is Devil's Pool? A trap carved by nature, a curse carried by Ulana, or a reminder that beauty and danger are sometimes the same thing? Maybe the answer doesn't matter. What matters is respect. Respect for the people who've lost their lives here. Respect for the Yidinji people who warned us long before. Respect for the land itself, which doesn't bend to our arrogance. Devil's Pool isn't just a swimming hole. It's a story carved in stone, in water, in memory. And whether you believe in science, spirit, or both, it's a story worth remembering. All right, legends, over to you. Is Devil's Pool just another dangerous spot in the rainforest, or is Ulana still there, waiting? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. If this story gave you chills, do me a huge favor. Hit that like button, share this video with a mate, and subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive into Australia's most mysterious places. Every comment, every click keeps these stories alive. Stay curious, stay safe, and above all, respect the land. Because some places aren't just places, they're reminders of how small we really are.